Hello, everybody. Can I welcome you to this, our 15th annual general meeting? And in particular, can I welcome the mayors, leaders, councillors from the local authorities within Warwickshire and Solihull and representatives of public, voluntary and charitable organisations in the area. This is our fourth virtual annual general meeting. I know now people are moving away from doing things virtually, but this is really us doing our business at the annual general meeting. And we're looking later this year to give a launch to our strategy and a review to the sector as a whole. So that'll be a much more wide-ranging and interesting event then. Today, though, you will hear from Tracy Southam, one of our area managers, who will give a brief review of what we've achieved and the work we've been doing over the last year or so. You'll also hear from Guy Other, one of our trustees, who is also the finance lead, and he will be presenting a review of our financial performance. So once again, I'm delighted to welcome you all, and we'll now proceed with our formal annual general meeting business. Could I ask Karen, first of all, to go through the apologies that we've received?
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Apologies sent for the AGM are the Mayor of Ulster, Councillor Vaughan Blake, Councillor Oliver Jacques, Mayor of Warwick, Emma McKay from Solihull Metropolitan Borough Council, Amanda Wilson Patterson from Warwickshire County Council, and Sophie Hilary, who's the High Sheriff for Warwickshire. I don't think there's any other apologies. I know there may be a few more updated in the system since about an hour ago, but if they are, we can add those to the minutes in due course.
Okay, thanks, Karen. If anybody is aware of apologies from others, please will you place them in the chat box so that we have a full record. With that, I'd like to move on to the approval of the minutes for the annual general meeting last year for 2022. CAVA members will have received a copy of last year's minutes, and I hope that they've had a moment to review those. Can I please ask for a proposer and seconder to accept those minutes as an accurate record? And would they please place names in the chat box? And then I'll ask Alison or Jane to let me know when we have a proposer and a seconder.
Andrew, we've got a proposer, which is Cheryl Rawbone. Still waiting for a seconder at the moment. Seconder is Claire Spears.
Thank you very much. Unless somebody enters into the chat box that they object to the acceptance of those minutes, I will take that as an acceptance of those minutes as a true record. I'll just give a moment to see if anybody has got any questions or queries on those minutes. Okay, thank you very much. I'll now ask Tracy Southam to present an overview of some of our organisational achievements of the past year. These are highlights that you will have seen already in our annual report, which is now on our website. So with that, can I hand over to you, Tracy?
Certainly. Thank you, Andrew. I'm just going to try and share my screen, so bear with. Alison, would you mind admitting another guest that's arrived? I can't manage all the all in one go. Thank you. Can everyone see the slide okay? Is it now full screen? Yeah, thank you, Charles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. So it's my privilege to take you through today's report. So I'm going to give you a short overview of our delivery in 2022-2023. And I must say a huge thanks to our staff and volunteers who've delivered our activities and contributed to this year's report, and also to Owen Jones, who has supported me in making our report look as great as it does this year again. Thank you also to our partners and funders who have supported CAVA over the past reporting period for this report. As we all know, the last year has not been without its challenges as we continue to get back to the new normal post the COVID pandemic, if we've managed to get there yet, and also faced a number of challenges with political instability and also international conflict, which has contributed to a cost of living crisis. So it's been quite a difficult period for the sector. So our first update relates to our Warwickshire infrastructure contract. We've continued to provide our infrastructure delivery in Warwickshire, and on our county council contract, we've worked in partnership with Grapevine and Coventry and Warwickshire Cooperative Development Agency in the past year as well. In the last year, 933 organisations have been supported by CAVA staff, and we've supported 1,433 activities. 87 events were organised, and we contributed to a further 193, reaching 1,090 people. And we've supported 348 organisations with funding advice, resulting in just under £2,300,000 being applied for, and just under 1,770,000 being awarded, which is a great accomplishment across our teams. Our team in Solihull have supported 146 organisations and levered just under £241,000 of funding, and have contributed to 80 events, engaging 3,793 attendees across those events. We continue to deliver our two big local programmes in Hilltop and Cadwell and Arley and Annesley. Highlights from the Hilltop and Cadwell project included the establishment of the community hub in New Hilltop, a newsletter campaign reaching 1,700 households, and two very active community Facebook groups. And we had 200 families that engaged in the fun day in the reporting period as well. The Arley and Annesley Big Local project is now in the second year of their final community plan, and they've been working on a range of initiatives, including progressing the sports pavilion, and had 3 new members join the board in the contract year being reported. The project has continued to support the Lays Youth Project for 8 to 18-year-olds, with a particular focus on antisocial behaviour, and they've also enabled a range of grants via their community chess programme, which you can refer to on page 24 of the reporting document, the link to which has been shared with you, which totaled £21,370 invested into that community. The Three Villages Youth Project has continued to work in Hartshill, Dordon and Hurley with 11 to 18-year-olds with the Minefields Trust, and has supported 60 young people across the period. The group successfully applied for £500 to organise a trip for the young people involved in the programme, and they've been able to participate in a range of activities in the community. The new town centre in Nuneaton continues to be a central hub for the community, and there are around 250 people attending per day for retinal eye screening appointments and blood testing within that community setting. And there are a range of services using the centre with 23 different activities across the week. There's an annual Nuneaton Christmas Day lunch for people who would normally be alone, which remains a highlight for the centre annually. And an award from the Social Fabric Fund via Warwickshire County Council enabled some much needed repairs to the roof. And I know Alison was delighted to get rid of the buckets at the centre after that essential repair work was done. In 2022, the centre also became the home for a defibrillator, which was fundraised by a local family to aid the community, which was a real blessing for the community around that centre. The Stratford Social Inclusion Partnership funds Chris Freeman as a development officer for the social inclusion development worker role. And this contract was extended for a further 5 years with a recent procurement round, which we were very pleased to be recommissioned through. During the reporting period, the project secured just under £385,000. and 44 organisations were supported. Since the initiation of that project, at the end of this reporting period, just under £772,000 was secured, which was celebrated at an event with Stratford District Council. You can see on the photograph Councillor Barker with Chris Freeman and some of the groups who'd benefited from funding support. As a result of the development work that had been done with the Social Inclusion Partnership, a group of funders came together to fund a community development worker role for the Bishopton and Clopton communities, and they fund Rachel Knight to deliver the Community Builder programme. There are 4 key areas of delivery for the programme, which are community safety and housing, environmental action, community activities, health and voluntary and community sector resilience. And in the reporting period, Rachel had managed to reach out to 935 homes and had held 200 constructive conversations within those communities. And 2 warm hubs had been set up in the Bishopton and Clopton community centres. CAVA remains proud of our focus on health and wellbeing and has continued our representation role on a number of groups and forums. Our Chief Executive, Karen Winchcombe, is VCS rep for the ICS and the ICB for Warwickshire, and Jane Holdsworth does representation work for the Solihull area on the development around the ICS and ICB in that patch. We were funded to deliver a small project by the National Academy for Social Prescribing and have continued to do work with the social prescribing working groups across Warwickshire following the end of our Connect Well programme. We remain proud to be a disability confident employer, and we also produce a quarterly newsletter for our staff with an ongoing focus on wellbeing. We also have an employee assistance programme for our staff team. And we're lucky that we have Aline Boblan as a champion for menopause, who's facilitated take a pause sessions for our staff team around menopause awareness. As teams, we continue to be proud to support the annual Make a Difference Day celebrations. Last year, that included some volunteering with Albury Cottage Care Farm, the Rugby Theatre, some work with Warwick District Council around families who would not have Christmas presents without donations from the community, and also some work in Solihull with Castle Bromwich Hall Gardens and Castle Bromwich Youth and Community Partnership, renovating and planting bulbs in the memorial graveyard there. Our Volunteers for Carers project ended in November 2022, which was funded by some loneliness and social isolation funding through Warwickshire County Council. As a result of that programme, 3 new volunteer programmes were established with 35 volunteers supporting those programmes. And we did a programme of recruitment with 10 existing carer services, resulting in 42 volunteers trained. That grants programme also issued just over £18,000 of grants, and 22 groups were awarded grants between £250 and £1,000 for carers, breaks and activities. And we also supported the delivery of a 2-hour session at the Be Well conference aligned to support for carers. Continue to provide support to the vaccination sites. We've had 56 volunteers working with Ruth as part of the CAVA team, who've provided 2,151 hours of volunteer support across 4 sites. And it's noted that the team have had to work through all weathers really to deliver that vaccination service. There's a highlight of one volunteer alone, the lovely Basil, who undertook 284 hours of volunteering support in rugby, which is an amazing amount of hours on that programme. The Community Mental Health Transformation Programme is a joint programme we deliver with Voluntary Action Coventry, which is commissioned through Coventry and Warwickshire Partnership Trust, and works around mental health transformation, enabling people with serious mental health to get easier and faster access to a wide range of resources. The team working across our 2 organisations has worked with 138 organisations in this reporting period and connected with 166 people as a result of those interventions. And a range of sessions have been held with the voluntary and community sector. And one of the legacy pieces has been a counselling collaborative with 20 counselling groups working together to make a change within the mental health sector. South Warwickshire Place is a partnership of statutory, private, public sector and health organisations, with a focus on improving the lives of people living within the areas of Warwick and Stratford districts through partnerships and collaboration. We were commissioned to do some dedicated engagement work with the voluntary and community sector. The pitch you see is one of our events that we held down in the south of the county. During the reporting period, we had 2 engagement sessions, which enabled 41 organisations to come along and talk to us about the health agenda through the South Warwickshire Place Partnership. And we were pleased to maintain a 100% satisfaction rate on those events, which is really good. So I'll hand back to you, Andrew, now to carry on with the rest of the proceedings.
Thank you, Tracy. Yes, what a fantastic network of volunteer activities summarised there, with some really, really positive outcomes, and speaks loudly. Yes, we're an overall infrastructure organisation, but that is the work of volunteers. It's the glue that holds society together these days, I think. And yeah, some really, really positive messages there. With that, can I move to something perhaps less exciting, but still very necessary to look at? And that is a Treasury review and a look at our annual accounts. And with that, I will hand over to Guy Other, who is as trustee, is our financial lead. Guy, can I hand over to you?
Well, is that our less exciting financial lead? Tracy, do you have the financial slides to share?
Yes, I do. I'll share those now for you.
Great. Thanks very much.
Can everybody see those okay?
Oh, it's just coming up now. There we go. Thanks, Tracy. Right, I'll give, you'll be pleased to hear, a brief summary of how the finances of the organisation performed in 2022/23. So that financial year ended on the 31st of March this year. The statement of financial activities and the balance sheet for 2022/23 are set out in the last 2 pages of the report, which you can find on the CAVA website, and which you can see the first bit on the screen. And I believe a link was also sent to everybody. Full copies of the accounts are available for inspection should anybody wish a copy. Just please put a note in the chat box. Now, I don't intend to read the statements through line by line. If you do have any subsequent questions or follow-up questions, again, if you can include those in a note in the chat box, and we'll get straight back to you. Okay, so just to put some context, I mean, no sooner were we all over the COVID restrictions than the third sector in particular in 2022 faced all of the increasing inflationary pressures, but also funding restrictions, both public and private. In that difficult environment, however, I'm very pleased to say that CAVA has maintained good financial controls throughout. And with a dedicated workforce looking out for income opportunities, as well as managing non-essential costs, CAVA delivered another very solid year financially. At this year end, we had a modest surplus in unrestricted funds of 39,281, as you can see, and that's against another modest surplus last year of 23,266. Unrestricted income was held steady, and costs were well managed, despite all the well-publicised inflationary pressures, and that's particularly pertinent for us, with the vast majority of our costs being staff costs, followed by utility costs, insurance, and the maintenance of a sort of an increasingly aging infrastructure, office infrastructure. So a very solid year. There was also a net surplus in restricted funds of 89,531 against a deficit last year of 146,393. And as I commented last year, it's difficult to judge in any one year the net movement in restricted funds. And that's due to the fact that that income has to be recognised in the year in which it is awarded, not the year in which you carry out the work, if it's across a year, or the across the year which you have to you incur the costs. I mean, suffice to say, whether it's unrestricted funds or restricted funds, we have the same rigorous approach to deliver first-class services, and whilst rigorously managing non-essential expenditure. So a good year. I mean, as we look into the current financial year, we will be looking to diversify income streams consistent with our strategic goals, whilst judiciously managing our costs, which will no doubt experience inflationary headwinds again on salary costs, and also particularly on premises accommodation costs. And by that, I mean utilities, maintenance and insurance. As you'll see in our report, the review of our office infrastructure will give us that sustainable cost base for the future. So it's with all that in mind that I put forward and propose the Director's Report and financial statements for the year ended 31st of March 2023, as well as the Auditor's Report to the meeting.
Thank you, Guy. Do I have a seconder for that proposal, please?
Yes, a seconder, Martin Parker.
And again, I will assume, unless in the next few moments, somebody objects, I will take it that those things are approved following the moving and seconding of that motion. Has everybody voted, Alison and Jane?
There's no dissenters.
No dissenters. Thank you. So with that, I'll now ask Guy to move on to the appointment of our auditors. Guy, over to you again.
Yes, thank you. I mean, they've been our auditors for some time, and I'm proposing that we continue. So I propose that CAVA reappoint Burgess and Bullock as auditors and authorise the directors to fix their remuneration.
And again, can I have a seconder, please?
Mike Bow has seconded.
Thank you. And again, just a few moments in case anybody objects to that. Otherwise, again, I will assume that the appointment of our auditors is approved. Right, thank you, everybody. Can I hand back to you now, Karen, to talk about nominations and appointments of directors?
Thanks, Andrew. Firstly, I think it's important we give thanks to our existing trustees and the board for all the work they do over the course of the year. It is a commitment, and there comes a lot of responsibility and accountability with that role as individuals. So we take this moment just to thank the board for the work again over the last year that they've given for CAVA. So moving on to any nominations and appointment of directors. For those who don't know, in line with the retire by rotation rule, which means a percentage of the board have to step down on a yearly basis to ensure that there's a regular flow of trustees joining the board and retiring from the board. This year, we have 2 trustees who are due to retire by rotation. These 2 trustees are Sheila Hammond and Cheryl Rawbone, but both are standing again. Cheryl for another 3 years under the re-election, which the board has accepted, and Sheila, who will do another year as a trustee, as part of ensuring our equality, diversity and inclusion piece of work moves forward over the next year. That's been that's been accepted by the board already, and we look forward to working with both Cheryl and Sheila again in the forthcoming year. We do have one new candidate to the board, and they will be voted on today to serve their first 3 years in office. So to chair, board and members, I introduce you to Janina McKenzie. Janina comes to us with a strong marketing background, with experience in supporting charities, both with business and strategy skills, and I recommend to nominate her to the board. So back over to you, Andrew, for the voting process.
Yes, yes. Can I take a formal endorsement of that for Janina's nomination as a trustee? First of all, have we got I think I can see that Judith has proposed that. Have I got a seconder to that motion?
Seconded by Cheryl Rawbone.
Thank you. And now, yes, can people please vote on that, members, via the chat box, please? Jane, Alison, have we got approval of that motion?
There's no dissent to that motion.
Right. Thank you very much. And a personal welcome from me to Janina. I'm really looking forward to working with you as a new trustee. I'm sure you will add with your experience to our governance and to our strategy and moving forward. So looking forward to seeing you during the next year. Karen, can I hand back to you now?
Yes, Andrew, we have one more process to go through, and that is after several years, our current Vice Chairman, Philip Robson, has decided to step down from the role. Phil will continue, Andrew, as a trustee going forward, but steps down from his Vice Chair role. So can I ask you to maybe give thanks to Phil for his term in office?
You certainly can. And yes, to state the obvious, a vice chair stands in when the chair is not available. But Phil, you've been so much more than a stand-in. You've given me practical and moral support as chair. You've contributed your thoughts and ideas and acted as a very responsive sounding board to my own thoughts and ideas. You've been very far from a passive vice chair. You've led on a number of issues such as governance and monitoring and improving performance. You've been a true collaborator, both inside and outside CAVA. And although you're now standing down as vice chair, I'm so pleased that you will be continuing as a trustee for some time to come. I'm sure you will continue to play a very, very active part in CAVA's governance. So thank you very much, Phil.
Thank you, Andrew. I look forward to stirring it from the back benches.
With this, Andrew, obviously leaves a vacancy for our vice chair role. As you've mentioned, it's an important role to the board, and as you know, the board have already discussed this and undertaken its voting process internally. Therefore, I'm glad to say that the board has agreed. Our current trustee in Claire Spires has agreed to step up as the next vice chair of CAVA. So can I hand back to you to welcome Claire?
Yes, I think to take a formal vote on it, I know there's a nominator in Cheryl Rawbone and a seconder in Sheila Hammond. Can I just ask you all via the chat box to please vote for Claire's appointment to the vice chair role?
That's agreed, Andrew.
Thank you very much. Can I welcome you as my vice chair, Claire? I know you've played an active role already as a trustee, and I really, really do look forward to working with you in the future on all the challenges that CAVA faces. So welcome. I'm sure you will play a full and active role as vice chair.
Thank you, Andrew. And just to say, I've got big shoes to fill, Phil. So I hope to be able to do your legacy some justice, and I look forward to it. Thank you.
I think we've now reached the end of our formal business, and I will call on Phil for one last time to do a formal duty at the AGM. To give a vote of thanks to our funders, our staff, and all those attending today's AGM.
Thanks, Andrew. Claire, you have this to look forward to at every AGM in future, and I'm delighted to hand that over to you. And I know you're going to enjoy it, and I'm really pleased it's you that's taking over as vice chair. I have a list, and whilst it may be boring to read out a list, I just want to emphasize how important these groups of people are in ensuring that CAVA does its business well and works within its financial spectrum, but also delivers really good services for volunteers in the community of Warwickshire. And we know how much added value that adds. So the list includes Awards for All, the Big Lottery Fund, Children in Need, the Coventry and Warwickshire Integrated Care System, the Esme Fairbairn Foundation, Local Trust, and then important contributions from local authorities, North Warwickshire Borough Council, Nuneaton and Bedworth Borough Council, Rugby Borough Council, Rugby Health Network, Solihull Metropolitan Borough Council, Stratford District Council, Warwick District Council, and of course Warwickshire County Council. I'd also want to stress the importance of the place partnerships in the new developments that occur within the community in Warwickshire. So these are people who contribute to us, who are behind the scenes, who hold us to account in various ways, but who actually, without their contributions, we wouldn't be able to do any of the work that you've just seen us reporting on. So back to you, Andrew. Thank you.
Thanks, Phil. Just one last thing for me. Well, a number of last things from me. Can I again thank you all for attending this? This has been a very routine, in many ways, meeting, partly because we are looking to hold an event, I think now early next year, where we'll look at the strategy that CAVA approved this year and have a look at our performance, the challenges, those things that we're still trying to do, and at the same time have a look at the review of the voluntary and community sector as a whole. So I'm hoping that event will give us much more of an opportunity to talk to each other rather than just listen to me and the other trustees, a real opportunity to network and to look in a lot more detail, not only at the work of CAVA, but the work of the sector as a whole. So keep your eyes on our website for their announcements in relation to that. And I look forward to seeing you all sometime next year, if not before. So again, thank you to you all.